The Black Ops campaign endings are always confusing, and with Black Ops 7 there are a few questions that need to be answered, new characters that appear, and the classic Call of Duty cliffhangers. Even though this game's story is a lot shorter than what we would usually get, and in my opinion way less interesting and way less convoluted as well, it's pretty simple, it still requires an explanation, and especially if you've not played the prior games, Black Ops Cold War and Black Ops 6, BO6 is the most important because it does have a tie-in, then you may be thinking to yourself, what's going on here? Because the game kicks off showing us a character that we all thought died back in Black Ops 2, Raul Menendez. He was killed by David Mason, but the game starts by showing you a video of him. However, this is AI, a deepfake. It's not real. And the whole of BO7's plot revolves around Menendez being used to scare the world's population into thinking he was not only back, but also going to attack and terrorize the world just as he did back in 2025. This game is set 10 years after that in 2035, so like I said, this video of Raul Menendez appears on the news, the whole world sees it. Raul Menendez was known worldwide. A lot of people were skeptical because he was supposed to be dead, but this video was verified by a company called The Guild and their CEO, Emma Kagan. She goes on the news, she tells the news anchor, yeah, this is real, but in reality, it wasn't. The Guild's plan was to scare the world into thinking this big bad terrorist was back and they needed their company, the Guild, in order to protect them. They were going to infect millions of people with a bioweapon and then blame it on Menendez in order to sell millions of their protection hardware. But the US government noticed that the exact same time this video was released, the Guild were doing PSYOP in Avalon, trying to influence people's emotions with this video and what's going on, which to say the least was a little bit suspicious to them, a weird coincidence, so they begin to investigate the Guild and send Joint Special Operations Commander David Mason along with a team of agents codenamed Spectre 1, who consists of Harper, Samuels and 50/50, but they go to the Guild's R&D facility to extract data from their server room. Kagan, along with a man called Dorner, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, D-O-R-N-E, we don't know who he is exactly, but new character unlocked. He is important though, we'll come back to him later on. They notice that Spectre 1 are onto them and decide they're going to set them up. Anyway, when they arrive at the R&D facility, Mason and his crew extract the data they need from the server room, plant a load of explosives around, and then as they're leaving, Kagan traps them in a room and releases her new experimental bioweapon on them. They inhale this toxin, it goes into their bloodstream, and from there on, they start hallucinating. But because all of them are connected via their C-links, Mason, Harper, Samuels and 50/50 experience the exact same hallucinations together. Anyway, at this point, Mason decides he's going to blow the building up using the explosives they just planted, which gives them their time to escape, all while hallucinations start happening to them. They start seeing things that aren't really there, and the toxin then begins spreading throughout Avalon. Now, this is an ending explain video, so I'm not going to explain the whole story, but giving you a quick brief. They then locate a Guild insider to give them more information on what this toxin is, but when they find him in a container, Mason starts hallucinating, believing this insider is Frank Woods. All of them go into this crazy world in their heads and they track down Woods to help them get out of the hallucination. And when they're back, the informant then tells them that the bioweapon is actually the Cradle, something which was supposed to be gone 40 years ago back in Black Ops 6, 1991. Originally, the Cradle was a pathogen developed by the Pantheon, a division of the CIA as a part of their Advanced Technologies and Applications program. It was supposed to be gone, done and dusted back then, but the Guild have managed to get their hands on it, which by the way used to be a criminal organisation before they turned to the military industry, and they are now using it. Anyway, after this discovery, a few random events that happen that aren't really too important to the story. They have a few more hallucinations. One of them sends them to the year 2025 in LA when there was an assassination attempt on the president. We saw that mission play out back in Black Ops 2. They also end up figuring one of their own members is a mole who turns out to be Razor. They retrieve some data that was sabotaged by him, which identifies the Guild's bioengineer, who is someone called Flacanor. He worked on the Guild's personal Cradle program. They track him down, force him to tell them what he knows. He reveals that Kagan told him to find out why the Cradle hadn't killed Mason and his crew? What was it about their sea-links that made them so unique? The sea-links, by the way, are their cerebral augments, their operating system, what they're all connected to in the year 2035 in the future. But he tells them it's too late. He already sent the intel to Kagan at the Sanctum, which is another one of Guild's facilities. So they travel there, and when they arrive, once again, Kagan sends them into another hallucination. This time, they end up in Vorkuta, where they have to find Alex Mason, David's father, to help them escape since he'd been there back in the 1980s, I think it was, in Black Ops 1, which they do so successfully. Once they end up escaping that hallucination, they then wake up back at the Sanctum where they discover what the Guild's plan really is to, like I said earlier, infect millions of people and blame it all on Menendez. And they figure they need to find out where the origin of the Cradle is coming from, where all of the shipments that they plan to deliver around the world and set off are originating from. And that place is an offshore mining rig that is operated by the Guild called Blackheart. It is there they have a bioreactor that they are using to make this toxin. And it just so happens Kagan is there as well. When Sector 1 arrive at Blackheart, they overheat the bioreactor, which then starts to explode, causing the facility to begin sinking. However, as they're leaving, they run into Kagan, who has locked herself inside of a room and uses her tech to begin to attack them.
Congratulations.
Sorry we're late. We got hung up destroying all your shit.
So you did. Yet I remain.
Stand down, Kagan.
Who made you leader? Dragging your team down the rabbit hole. You'll lose control. Again.
Don't listen to her. Focus. She's in the control room. Find a way in.
Don't listen to him. He's about to crack. And get you all killed.
Because inside that armor beats the heart of a scared little boy kidnapped by Menendez.
I will not kill you, boy.
Fuck you.
Remember all the years, anger, and pain. Martyr me. For Cortes Die.
You're just like your father. A big, fat failure.
Fortunately, because we're so good, we use it against her, fire some rockets into the room she's locked in, where David then faces a choice. Does he detain Kagan, or does he kill her? Being the man he is, he detains her.
Section, stay calm.
No more games. This ends now. She wants the world to suffer just to make a few bucks.
It's the cost of progress, you ape. But that concept's probably beyond you. So go ahead and do it.
It's funny to you?
You think you're such a hero. The world's already suffering. You set so much of that in motion when you killed Raul Menendez, didn't you? But the Guild can bring real order, real security. Sacrifices must be made for the greater good. I'm doing more to fix the world than you ever could. You slink around in the shadows, while I'm the one in front of the cameras, cleaning up the mess you left behind.
That's enough! Fucking waste her already!
Kill me if you want. It doesn't matter. None of you are walking out of here. Do it! Do it.
Plenty of choices I regret. But not today. And we are not dying here, no. You'll face the world, Kagan. Cameras are waiting.
You pathetic, mindless drones! You're nothing but tools for the goddamn...
That is quite enough out of her.
Thanks for that.
Let's get out of here.
And how do we do that?
Only one way. Go up.
And honestly, that's pretty much the end of the Black Ops 7 story. Up until that point, I would say there's nothing too deep about it. It is the story of a criminal organization turned tech company that gets their hands on this toxin that existed from the 1990s and plans to use it against the world in order to force them to purchase their protection hardware so that they can make millions. It's a simple and pretty common story, to be honest. But there are a couple of things that happen after this. Once Kagan is detained, Cradle production is put on halt, there is no more. However, Avalon is still infected with the bioweapon, and the Guild are still around just because their CEO is detained. They still exist, so there's clearly people above her, and they are not leaving Avalon, which means Mason, Harper, Samuels, and 50/50 decide to stick around in Avalon to take the Guild on themselves. But then, right at the end, we get a shot of a man in a Guild office, you can tell by the background, watching the detained Kagan on a monitor. Now, if you pay attention to the subtitles, because I think he looks different, this is Dawn, or however you pronounce his name, the exact same person that we saw in the very first cutscene, where him and Kagan were watching Sector 1 on the monitors. He looks at Kagan detained and hits the screen in anger. So what his role in all of this is interesting, because from that first cutscene I got the sense that he was kind of her assistant or wasn't of a higher power than her. She is the CEO, he was something lesser. But seeing this now, how angry he is that Kagan is being detained and the plan has gone to shit, has he taken her position? Have the Guild's board of directors appointed him as the new CEO? We don't quite know how far this company spans, but they're still operating after Kagan has been detained, so they're by no means finished. It's just that their plan has, for now at least, been stopped, and Dorna is very angry. Just because, in my opinion, this is such a lackluster ending, this has to be a cliffhanger, right? There's no real conclusion here. The Guild isn't done by any means. Kagan isn't talking, she's not letting anything slip, and she didn't die. Unlike in Black Ops Cold War, there's no choice ending here, and we know who this man at the end is, although we don't know his position exactly. So in terms of a Black Ops story, it's way more simple than any other one we've had. Normally we're like, okay, who is this? What is this? But in this case, it's relatively straightforward to follow as you're playing the 5-6 hour campaign, however long it is. And then by the end, there's nothing controversial that leaves you wondering. And so it ends with Kagan being detained and then Dorna being pretty angry, while Cradle production has been put on halt and the Guild are still operating in Avalon. And pretty much everything else was an hallucination. And Menendez was a deepfake AI. For Black Ops stories, this is definitely the weakest, but it still deserves an explanation, so there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.